home on inside, taking that ride to nowhere. We'll take that ride. I'm feeling okay this morning, and you know, we're on the road to paradise. Here we go, here we go. There's a city in my mind, come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. Would you like to come along, and you can help me sing this song, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. There's a city in my mind, come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day, it's alright, baby, it's alright. They could tell you what to do, but they'll make a fool of you, and it's alright, baby, it's alright.
Good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Damned with your hostess with the mostest and co-host, Mr. Robert Durden. Thanks for joining us, Robert.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I've been looking forward to this all week.
You flatter me so. We really are so much like each other. It's actually kind of bizarre how similar we are when we talk about things. I'm waiting for the day when we disagree. I think that'll be interesting to see if we go to like, fuck you, or I love you, but like, it'll be kind of interesting.
I don't think, even though you and I are combative people, usually I don't see us really going after people that we believe are, honest actors. We could have a disagreement and we would just laugh about it and talk about it. The only people I go out there and savage like you are the people that are like, elitist pricks that are standing in the way of progress. I'm not too worried about it.
Well, we're going after a little bit of different people tonight.
Yeah, that's okay
people
with me.
Who say they're in the movement, who maybe you should actually look out for.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much to Andy yet again for being my eyes behind the scene. Andy, if you want to play the first video.
What's your message for voters of color who are concerned that without the John L. Lewis Voting Rights Act, they're not going to be able to vote in the midterm?
Well, the concern is misplaced because if you look at the statistics, African American voters are voting in just as high a percentage as Americans.
What?
That's amazing.
That gaffe seems like something Joe Biden would say.
Right?
But here's the thing. McConnell's not senile. So I'm not terribly sure. I don't think that that's a slip of the tongue. I think that that's just him being so racist and anti-immigrant that it was just a Freudian slip.
Right? And the thing is, many people don't even say African American anymore. We really do say Black. I haven't heard African American in a very long time. And typically the Republicans are the ones who say it because they're trying to appear like they're not racist.
Exactly right. And I forget where I saw this. It might be back in the day when I was watching Kolinsky, is he actually went over a poll that said that, for instance, Mexican people don't prefer being called Latinx. They think it's ridiculous. Same thing with Black people. They don't like being called African American because they can see through that it's obviously virtue signaling that racist people use. So they use the right terminology so they can seem less racist. And the people of color see it. They understand what it is. And they're like, oh, if you're using all of these politically correct terms, chances are you're just trying to cover up your own, closeted racism.
Absolutely. And you're right. That did remind me so much of Biden. I was like, whoa. But I had to watch it again because it was just fucking hilarious. His people won't care, you know.
Yep.
But some of his people probably didn't even pick on why it was like funny or offensive or whatever.
No, they most people that not that there are many people that like Mitch McConnell, but there are a small group of people in this country who think like him. They would hear that and they'd go, "What? What's the problem?"
Exactly. Andy, you could show the next video.
Why are you sending 8,500 troops to Ukraine, Tom? Would you take President inflation back? Do you think inflation is a political liability?
That's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch.
Okay, so yeah, I like the fact that our president called someone a stupid son of a bitch. But I think it's incredibly hypocritical that right after this, shit libs started trending hashtag my president and were just getting freaking boners about like, oh my God, he said this about a Republican. And it's like, y'all freaked out when Trump did way less than that.
Yeah, again, virtue signaling. They don't really care about these naughty words. They only care about them insofar as they're able to weaponize them against somebody that they dislike, or praise somebody that they like as if they're down to earth and real because they're using normal language like Biden when they freaked out about the grabbing him by the pussy thing that Trump did. It's so hypocritical. For me and for you, Joy, we are not hypocrites. You can say whatever naughty language you want. We don't give a damn. At least be yeah, exactly. Just be consistent is all I ask. And if I remember, that gentleman, I think his name is Ducey. Ducey. He was asking about like inflation, basically, and how inflation and the economy and stuff is dropping Biden's approval numbers or something like that. And Biden calls him a dumb son of a bitch or whatever. I'm okay with you calling him a dumb son of a bitch, but any smart president that knew anything about inflation would go, listen, you're dumb because, if you believe in modern monetary theory, we could basically like not even have to worry about inflation. And especially we wouldn't have to worry about inflation if we taxed the hyper wealthy, took all of that money that we made from a wealth tax. And basically like what you can do is you can print money, put it into the system, tax that same amount back out of the rich and wealthy, and basically burn it. So even for the people that don't really believe in MMT, that makes sense for taking care of inflation. But Biden doesn't care about taxing the wealthy, and he's just calling him, a dumbass because he got called out, basically. So it's ridiculous, and it is a pot calling the kettle black because, like we've talked about before, nobody right this very second looks dumber and more inept than Joe Biden. I mean, he's got one of the lowest approval ratings of any president in the history, maybe the lowest. I think he's about where Trump was at his lowest. So it's like,
I think he's actually the newest one shows he's lower.
Is he really? I didn't see that. But it doesn't surprise me. I mean, name one thing that he's done. And so like when somebody like Biden goes out there and calls someone a dumb son of a bitch, my reaction to that is, well, what did that person say that was smart? He's obviously an idiot, has no idea what he's doing. He barely even knows where he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, okay, he said that to a Republican, but what about the people he's insulted who came to his rallies? Like, you're a goddamn liar. I'm going to challenge you to push-ups. You're a dog-faced pony soldier. These were to his so-called supporters at his rally. So is that cool too? No, we're not going to talk about that. They were Republicans. That's totally fine. He is so fucking Trump-like. So Trump-like in so many ways. But it's like, it's very yes queen when he does it. But like, how many times did he say things like he'd like to take Trump around the back of the schoolyard and beat him up and stuff? Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's physical violence, right?
Exactly. And any true progressive is against that 100%. But that, these neoliberals, it's really easy to like see through them. Like, I think that's one of the cool things about one of the only good things about the Biden presidency is that it has really like opened the eyes to people, to the hypocrisy and the virtue signaling that the neoliberals will do, and how they'll flip flop on, the drop of a hat, depending on who's in office. They only care about morality and ethics and, decorum, so long as it's, the Democrats. If Trump does something horrible, they'll drag him for days on mainstream media, acting like they're holier than thou. And then Biden does the exact same thing, and then they literally they'll worship him for it. So it really does expose them. The inconsistency is glaring. And that's actually a good thing, because I think now most people can see that the Democratic Party is just as full of shit as the Republican Party, arguably more so, because the Republicans, even though they're despicable, a lot of times they're kind of upfront with their, with their draconian ideas. They're like, I'm full of shit, and how do you like that? Whereas the Democrats are like, no, I'm not full of shit at all. They, but they are. They just, pretend to be your friend. So it's really actually been one of the silver lining things that has to do with the Biden presidency, is it really has exposed how full of shit the neolibs are.
One of the things I digress a little, but one of the things that was trending, speaking of hypocrisy, that I didn't have time to add to the slides, was Stormy Daniels was trending for the billionth time. And can we just admit that we need to stop shaming sex workers, first of all, because that's fucking infuriating. Sex work is work. There is nothing wrong with what she did, what she's doing. Get over it. That's the first thing. Second thing, out of all the things Trump has done, you've got him as a rapist, you've got Clinton as a rapist, you've got Biden as a rapist, and you're talking about something he did that was legal. What the fuck is your problem? It's that morality bullshit.
Yep. And they don't really care about any of that stuff. It's all about the weaponization of each incident in a way that can, push forward your narrative that Republicans are all evil and Democrats are perfect. It has nothing to do with that. And it's funny because a lot of these people that will fake like they have some sort of sense of morality are the psychopaths that are warmongers and, sanctioning the living shit out of everybody in the world, causing, famine in Afghanistan. You know what I'm saying? So they don't really care. They'll go and wine and dine and hang out with Madeleine Albright, but they'll, slut shame somebody. It's you guys are so messed up. Your moral compass is non-existent. And so that's, again, you can see the hypocrisy. It's pretty obvious nowadays. It's if you're not disgusted by Madeleine Albright, but then you will go out there and shame, Stormy Daniels, or, worse than that, we shame people that have been sexually harassed and abused by politicians like Tara Reade and Lindsey Boylan. As we know from the, I think it was a Jacobin article, they literally have a playbook that they used against Tara to smear her. They use that exact same playbook against Lindsey Boylan to help protect Andrew Cuomo. And then they have the balls to go out there and act like they have a leg to stand on when it comes to morality. It's ridiculous. So for people like you and I, we're sex work is work. There's no shame should be attached to that whatsoever. Shame should be attached to Madeleine Albright and sanctioning the Middle East so much that millions of children died. We're so backwards somehow in this country.
Absolutely. And, I interviewed both Lindsay and Tara, so solidarity. I know sometimes they watch the show. But yeah, they've been through hell and back. They still get harassed every day, and it's so disgusting. And, and then you look at someone like Monica Lewinsky, who I personally find as a strong, amazing, independent woman. I find what she has gone through absolutely repugnant. She was taken advantage of by her boss, but she's the one who had to pay for it her whole life. And it's also things like that. She has always been the butt of the joke, and it's not fair. But he's a Democrat. So yeah, let's elect his wife who has done nothing but harass his rape victims and, you know, try to silence them and everything else. But you know what? First woman president, it's all good. So the hypocrisy really is astounding. It's crazy. I'm sorry, Trump is garbage, but when you see, you know, screenshots like of reps like Pam Keith and stuff saying, well, you know, Biden has a lot more raping to do to catch up, things like that. That is so fucking disgusting. And we would see, you know, comments like that all the time. And it's like, so you're not even, you know, denying the fact that he's a rapist. You're literally just saying, but he's not as much of a rapist.
And isn't that the Democratic Party in a nutshell? You know,
Yeah.
lesser of two evils, right? No. It's all about, no, we're not going to deny that Joe Biden's a rapist. We're just going to say he's less of a rapist than Trump, right? And that's a reason to vote for him, right? It's disgusting. And worse than that, Joy, those people will also go after people like you and me when we go and make fun of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton in the worst ways possible. You guys know how my show goes. I will go out there and trash those people constantly. But then I have these shit libs come after me like I'm gross or like I'm making jokes that are inappropriate, even though I'm literally constantly trashing sexists, pedophiles, rapists, racists. That's all I do. And yet those people will come after people like you and me or you know, let's say other comedians too. It's ridiculous. You guys are so transparent.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, the reason I started to write my book and asked Pat to join me is because of the treatment of Tara Reade. I was like, I've got to channel this energy somewhere because I just can't handle watching these attacks by her. And when I sign my books, I typically put, P.S., if Hillary finds out about this book, it was nice knowing you. Because
Yeah.
I know damn right well I'm on the kill list, and that's okay.
Yeah,
I will die fighting.
yeah, and I mean, I know you're joking right there, but in a way, we
not.
right, yeah. Hillary is one of those people like you cross her a little too much and get a little bit too much, you know, notoriety. You never know.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my God.
She is the devil. She is
Yes.
one of the most evil people alive.
Mhm. And they're trying to float her for 2024. Like, bitch, you're just.
I kind of hope that they actually go through with it. Honestly, the Democratic Party, we have like this unique situation right now where they're so vulnerable because of how bad Biden has been with his majority, where like if he keeps doing it this poorly, which I think he will for the next 3 years, and they run somebody like Hillary Clinton, and let's say Joe Biden doesn't run again, and then they run like Hillary, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, a couple of those people, that might be the death of the Democratic Party, because I think the average voter is going to look at that lineup and go, listen, there's no way I'm voting for any of these sons of bitches. It's so disgusting, and they're so anemic and so full of shit that even people that aren't really into politics can go, yeah, that sucks. So I actually hope that Hillary does run, because it might actually be the kiss of death for the Democratic Party. We can only hope anyway. And also, if she did, she would get her ass whooped by Trump again, which would make me laugh all the way to the bank if she lost a second time to that buffoon.
I know, but the thing is, identity politics usually supersedes. That's my one, disagreement with that. Because yes, I agree, but at the same time, but she's a woman, and that's, I've been called sexist more times in the past 6 years than I ever have in my whole life. I'm like, I never knew as a woman I could be sexist against women, but I am.
Yeah, they'll do it anyway. But Hillary Clinton, she can play the identity card. I mean, and even her slogan was "I'm with her," right? And it still wasn't enough to overcome her, like, the pure hatred that everybody has for her. Yeah. So, but you're right. They definitely will do that. They'll do the same thing with Kamala Harris and even Pete Buttigieg, because he's homosexual. They'll play the identity card however they can to their advantage. Luckily for us, these people are so hated. And I also think that our our population, especially younger people, are starting to see through the identity politics bullshit that they use to try to like sneak these candidates by us, where they're more like, I don't really care so much if they're a person of color or if they're a woman or if they're homosexual, as long as if they're not doing legislation and pushing things that actually help people of color, women, and homosexuals, which none of those people have any intention of helping those marginalized groups. So I think especially younger people are going to reject wholeheartedly almost any of those Democratic candidates that they can put up there.
I really hope so. And I think, the times are a changing. I hope you are right. I hope that people start seeing through that shit, because look, we finally got a Black woman in the White House and she has been absolute garbage. And the polls show it. The responses show it. She recently asked Wall Street and Hillary Clinton for advice. Okay. You cannot get lower than that. I'm sorry. So that's how bad it is. So we finally set history, but it's the worst precedent to ever set. She just set back every single other woman who wants to run for VP or, whatever. She just set them back because all the sexists, the real sexists, are going to say, we had a woman in the White House and look how bad she was.
Right. In a way, similar happened with Obama, where like we just expected him to do all of these wonderful things, and he got so many people, and in particular people of color, to vote for him because he was so inspiring, and we're like, okay, he's finally going to be somebody that goes in there and helps people of color. But then he doesn't really help people of color over 8 years. So he does set that back to the point where like now people of color are like, well, we put a Black man in as president and nothing came of it. So it seems like basically like you just kind of lied to us to get our votes and have abandoned us the same as any other white guy would have. So Absolutely. You're right on. You're 100%.
Listen, if we ruled the world, Robert, I swear.
It'd be a much better place.
What's that?
It would be a much better place with a lot more cursing.
Fucking utopia. It would be like fucking what do you call it? Oh my god, this booze is getting to my head. What do you call the half horse, half men?
Centaur?
It'd be like minotaurs with like anarchy tattoos and stuff.
Heck yeah. Hell yeah, man. Straight out of a graphic novel or something. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Exactly. That was the most random comment, but that's what came into my head. Okay, Andy, now we're getting down and dirty. Bring it on. Okay, so first, I know you're not like super up to date on this, but I've given you like a little bit of a gist. Okay, so this group, why the fuck they followed me, I have no idea. So this gentleman, Dr. Joe Jarvis, I met personally because I introduced him and spent time with him at the DC Medicare for All March. He announced that he opened a super PAC a few days ago. So before we go further, Robert, what do you think of the name of this super PAC? Do you think it sounds like progressive, or what do you think it sounds like?
It sounds like every other PAC. Sounds like it's been packaged to sound progressive as usual.
Do you think it sounds like Medicare for All?
No, not really. I mean, they might be trying to like make it sound like Medicare for All, but I look at this stuff and if I see super PAC anything, I just automatically assume they're going to call it something like the Freedom PAC or the you know what I'm saying. Like a PAC's a PAC, no matter what you call it. We all know what it is.
Yep. Okay, Andy, you can go to the next one. So this happened a few days ago. So, okay. So, Robert, can you read what their mission statement or about us or whatever you want to call it is?
Yep. It says, no matter who you are, where you're from, what you believe, how old you are, or what your work status is, if you live in the United States, you and your family should be guaranteed to receive medically necessary care when sick or injured without worrying about how to pay for it. And so that's some weasel words right there. The first thing that I pick up when I read that, it says receive medically necessary care, That's like access to healthcare. That when you add those descriptors in there, what exactly is medically necessary? You deserve healthcare when you're near death, but only until you're near death. That's what that sounds like to me. Don't I try to teach the people that watch my show to detect this bullshit. You can see when there are weasel words and when they're leaving themselves like a caveat in their description. And that's what I see right there. That doesn't sound at all like actual progressive language. That sounds like a neoliberal trying to write progressive language.
Right. I mean, I worked in healthcare for over 10 years, and let me tell you what we called medically necessary. We called them pre-authorizations.
Yeah.
And that's what I worked in for several years, which means cancer patients, blind people like myself, you name it. Guess what they have to do? They have to fill out tons of paperwork and they have to submit it for pre-approval. And half the time they don't even get it deemed medically necessary. So when you're saying medically necessary, you're saying that my continued care for my blindness, since I'm already mostly blind, may not be medically necessary when I've had that problem in the past, because I'm only 42 and my disorder is very rare. So under this, that's a caveat. That is saying that, you're feeling sick, but it might not be medically necessary because it may be a cold. Who knows what it is? So that is a caveat. That is but unless, and you're absolutely right. That's the first thing that stood out to me. Second thing that stood out to me is the whole fucking first couple sentences is our fucking mission statement from Medicare for All for the marches. That's literally word for word.
Is it? And doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Again, that's just them stealing our language.
Yes, it's literally like, I'm gonna go and take our thing and like put it side by side.
Yeah, and this is going to be something. Yeah, this is going to be
actually said healthcare is a human right. Everyone should have Medicare for all, single payer, blah blah blah. We didn't quantify it with fucking if it's necessary. Like, who the fuck says it's necessary? You guys? Are you all nurses? No, you're not. So who does it medically necessary?
That's the question, isn't it? And the answer is people that work for big pharma. That nobody. They're not going to ask doctors. They're going to ask somebody who is looking for a reason to deny care, to define you and decide whether or not you are medically necessary and whatever. So you can expect a lot of this in the future. They're already doing it like crazy. The establishment is doing their best to co-opt progressive language, and they are to some extent able to do it. But to people like you and I that see this regularly, it stands out like a sore thumb. You can always tell the establishment folk when they try to talk like us. You can just tell they can't do it. Comes off looking like this.
Some people I've marched with in the streets, some people I have been close friends with for years are arguing with me that this is okay. Because it's people who they have been duped by in our so-called movement. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yep. Andy, you can go to the next one. So here's the thing. This is the group, okay, that started the names he mentioned. Okay. So this is a group. They were the red, I call them the red hats. You know what I mean? I don't like giving them publicity. So they had their nonprofit status taken away for not providing any donation information for 3 years. They now started a super PAC. Why is that okay? Why am I getting attacked for asking why that is okay?
That is the question. And this is why one of the rules of Political Fight Club is you can't sell out. You can't even if you were to take PAC money and it were completely clean, which it isn't. Just the optics of taking a PAC money immediately, in my mind, disqualifies you from being in this movement, because you can't. As soon as the money gets its hooks in you, as soon as the corporatists, whoever, get their hooks in you, and you get one super PAC, it leads to another, and it leads to more dirty money coming in, and then we can't trust you anymore. So it's all about, if you want to be trusted and if you really want to be part of the movement, you have to, on principle, reject this. On principle. And they just didn't do that. So now it's like now the squad is trying to take PAC money and super PAC money. It's like, oh, is anybody surprised? They were acting like, establishment hacks this entire year, and now suddenly they're taking a bunch of dark money. Does that surprise anybody? No, doesn't surprise me or you, because we all know they're really, they're all part of that big club. And that's what this tells me too. Whenever I see people taking PAC money, I don't care what their explanation is. That's you're on the shit list. Sorry.
Absolutely. Andy, you could go to the next one. This is just another website showing the same thing, so that people don't think it's like misrepresented or anything like that. I've also stated it several times on Twitter. No one has come out and said I am wrong. These are official records. We've gone to official, like, federal record websites. This is true. Their website no longer says 501c3. You can look it up for yourself. Andy, you can go to the next one. Okay, so here's the thing. Now, they have been calling this a people-powered super PAC. Okay, so I guess my first question is, why do we want Medicare for all? Because we're fucking broke. So why is there a box to donate $100,000?
Yep. And people powered super PAC is an oxymoron.
Right?
And so, like,
No!
so here's the thing. If you want to do activism like this group alleges, right, and you have a good plan on how you're going to get X, Y, and Z done and push for certain things and plan events, you don't need a super PAC, because the people will donate to you. So what that tells me is that, I don't know, they just didn't have a plan. What they were putting down, people weren't picking up. So they're like, how do we do this? How do we make up for the lack of donations we're getting from people? Oh, we're just going to make a super PAC. Oh, and how are we going to sell that to the people? Oh, we'll just reframe it and call it a people-powered super PAC, which makes no goddamn sense for anybody that knows anything about what a PAC is. So it's like, no, there's no such thing as a people-powered super PAC.
Well, and the thing that's so frustrating is, like, they're literally calling it a super PAC. It's not like they're saying it's an org, and I'm like, it's a super PAC. Like, there is no interpretation necessary. They are literally calling it a super PAC, and I'm still seeing people I thought who were fucking allies trying to deflect, attempt to rationalize. It is so much, if you can't beat them, join them, said no revolutionary ever. And this is what we're looking at. Then you look at this on the right. Now, these red hats are now they were sold through Etsy, and, like, with shipping, it was like $20. Okay. Now they are not called Medicare for All. What is this, like Superstar or something? I think it was called. And
yeah,
it went up to $75, and it goes through Act Blue.
Yeah. That's another one that worries me a little bit, and you were very astute in pointing out, like, that you have options for 10,000, 25,000, 100,000. The people that are progressives generally that are still pushing for Medicare for all are poor people who cannot, in fact, donate that amount of money at all, and never would. But the people that can are the people that already have health care, that want nothing more than to co-opt activist groups like this. So it works as basically it's a bribe that doesn't look like a bribe. That's all it is.
Absolutely. Andy, you can go to the next one. Okay, so this is the main leader or whatever you want to say. Robert, can you read the first one?
Yep. It says, are national nurses who organize to pressure certain elected Dems a super PAC? Why is it okay for established healthcare organizations to lobby for legislators to support Medicare for all, but not working class volunteers? Look, you and I disagree. You have hope in elected Dems. I don't. And then do you want me to read the second one too?
Yeah, this is same person 6 months later.
Maybe if we knit and crochet as many red berets as there were pussy hats, our work will be deemed newsworthy of at least all indie media that purport to be for Medicare for all. Or we'll just set up a fucking grassroots, people-powered super PAC. We're gonna get this shit done. Yeah, it's no fun. It's no fun to see this. Now, I don't know a whole lot about this organization. I have seen them on shows and on panels and stuff like this, but this just goes to show, like, you have to fundamentally and on principle just reject stuff like this. And I would go so far as to say what you're doing is right, Joy. People need to call this shit out, because this goes against everything that we purport to believe in as progressives. You cannot have progressive values pushed by somebody or a group that is basically being bribed or influenced by dark money. It's impossible. So I don't know what the fuck she's talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, let's just say, even if it is no corporate money, let's just say, even if it's not, the website doesn't say Medicare for fucking all.
Good point.
Period.
Yep.
That's it. Like, end of story. Don't say you're for it. The PAC literally does not say those words. Period. Indy, you can go to the next one. You have no idea the attacks I'm going to get for doing this show. You have no idea.
No, I understand. That's part of the reason I've been backing off a little bit, man, because the people are ruthless. The neolibs have a lot of like sock puppet accounts and a lot of
I'm
like
the only
fake...
one reporting on this.
Yeah. And
I've been sending this shit to so many indie media people, and people were like, oh my God. And then they don't do anything about it. People are so scared of this group. Like, they're fucking deities. Like, we can never, stand up against them. Like, it's fucking bananas. Like, if this shit were AOC, oh my God, y'all would be freaking the fuck out. Y'all would lose your shit.
Exactly. It's hypocritical. And see, the thing is, like, if you don't want to take shit for it, meaning these people, then don't take the PAC. Don't take the PAC. This is a rule. Like, and I agree with you. If you don't want to, take the flack from the actual left going after you, then you have to abide by the rules that we basically all kind of agree on. That's like, you can't sell out and take corporate money and still also purport to be for leftist values. We already know what happens when you do that. We already know what happens. So, you don't want to take shit for it, then don't take the super PAC. Don't develop a super PAC. And certainly don't try to like assume that we're too dumb to realize that like it's a super PAC, and by calling it a people-powered super PAC, it's like, no, it's a super PAC. How dumb do you think we are?
For 6 years, we were talking about how disgusting super PACs were. I thought for 6 years we've been harassing politicians whose healthcare sections on their websites don't say Medicare for all. I thought for the past 6 years we would call out people who do say they support Medicare for all and then don't do anything about it, like fucking Elizabeth Warren. Now, all that is moot, because right now we are in this together. And there is selective outrage, and it's all good because we are together with our matching hats, and everything is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, let's say, for instance, you and I found out we love Bernie. If we found out that Bernie started up and started taking super PAC money, we'd be the first people to turn on him and be like, what the fuck are you doing? This goes against everything that you believe in. Now, he never did that, but what would this group do suddenly if like the Squad or Bernie Sanders immediately started taking super PAC money? I would hope.
I'll tell you what they do, and I know for a fact, because last year when Jeff Weaver came out with Cuck Rocha for his super PAC. Go look up some of these people. Go look up some of their reactions. I'm blocked by most of them, but people have been sending me screenshots like, look at how bad they fucking flipped on Cuck Rocha and Jeff Weaver. Look how bad they flipped out because there's a super PAC that doesn't say Medicare for all. It is such hypocrisy. I can't see what that comment says.
It says, can you be more specific about why super PAC is such a red flag, as in that the only reason for a super PAC instead of a regular PAC is to hide the source of 50,000 plus donations, meaning how much money. And that's exactly right. And I think there's a couple of differences between super PACs and actual PACs. And I think, in fact, the squad, some of the Justice Democrats actually do take regular PAC money. But they have to, in that case, reveal who the donations are coming from. Super PACs is completely blacked out, and they can donate basically unlimited amount of money via a super PAC.
And they are not responsible to report any of it. Yep. I could I had $100,000, but I could donate $100,000 today, and you would never know it.
Yep.
I don't have to tell anyone, and they don't have to tell anyone. And that's one of the issues with that. You don't know who is donating because I don't even know anyone who has $100,000 in fucking assets, okay?
Yeah.
Who the fuck in our movement has $100,000?
Nobody. Not really. Not very, very few. If you have $100,000 to give to something, usually you're an elitist, and elitists donate to the neoliberals and the Republicans. Those people don't donate to people who want to push Medicare for all.
And if I don't have any money, I wouldn't be giving it to this. I would go on GoFundMe and I would search one of the millions of people who have medical debt. The people, not a PAC. I would go to people who need the help. Yep. That's what people who are really into mutual aid do. If this was set up and said it's for Medicare for all, and they are supporting mutual aid people with, healthcare bills, there's anything, but it's not. They're literally saying the money is going to go towards promoting on social media and shit like that. Like, I'm not fucking kidding you. Can you read that? I couldn't read what it said.
Yep. It's that same health security project. They say it is the responsibility of independent journalists to gather and report the facts. We have pinned tweet. An extensive interview was conducted by @Joe Firestone PhD with @Dr. Joe Q Jarvis. Check it out.
Here's the problem. The reason I put this in here is because I've been blocked by most of these people way before now. And yet I am constantly tagged. And this has been over a year. Why don't you have them on? You say you're a supporter of Medicare for all. Why don't you promote them?
Yeah.
Like, from people in the group. Excuse me. I have on who the fuck I want to have on. And don't publicly call me out and be like, why, how dare you not have them on? Obviously, I don't agree with them. That's why. Obviously, I don't have people on just to give them camera time. If I don't feel they're coming on to actually say something, I'm not going to have them on. But that's what they do. They also send their hats to people in indie media, then go in the comment section and say, oh, I'm so glad you like them. Can we come on your show? I've seen it happen countless times. And it's like, this is, and she said it in her tweet as well. Maybe if we just make enough to have pussy hats, all of indie media will have us on their show. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? You have a super PAC. You have the means to promote shit. You don't need indie media. Anyone who says they're in indie media and promotes this shit, I am never watching their show again. Period.
And this seems to me like the least amount of activism you can do and still call yourself an activist. And that's, in a nutshell, kind of how like the faux-gressives operate. And that goes for, other podcasters and YouTubers who I routinely savage on my show and on this show. Is it's like they really, really, really want the label of progressives with doing absolutely nothing, like doing as close to nothing as you can possibly get while still giving the facade that you're actually trying to force these things. This is, as one of my favorite comedians always says, Doug Stanhope, he goes, "This is just a form of doing nothing." So
Yeah, this is give us your money.
Yeah.
And we'll do something with it, we swear.
Yeah, like what was it? What does he say in his bit about this too? He's like, this is like if during the SARS outbreak that we all decided that we were going to get together and knit quilts for each other that were SARS quilts, and all of the proceeds go to like social media to spread awareness about SARS. It's like, yeah, that's about right. That's what we got here.
Text me that, please.
It's Doug Stanhope, and the actual line is he goes, "We're gonna knit a SARS quilt. It's gonna take all summer long."
Oh my God, that's so perfect. I can't take it.
You like him. He's a good, if you haven't seen some of his comedy,
I
he's
know
my favorite.
who he is.
Okay, yeah, he's awesome. That's what this reminds me of. This is just another form of doing nothing.
I think we actually have a tweet coming up that's kind of goes along with that. Andy, can you put up the next one? Okay, so here's another statement, mission statement, whatever you want to say. Can you read this, Robert?
Yep. It says, no matter who you are, where you're from, what you believe, how old you are, or what your work status is, if you live in the United States, you and your family should be guaranteed to receive medically necessary care when sick or injured without worrying about how to pay for it.
Never mind.
That's the same one we had before. By the way, that is so grammatically incorrect. Like, why are there so many periods?
Oh my God!
In that first, like, there's no commas, but there's a whole bunch of periods everywhere.
Oh my God! There was this one that said, "We need funded,"
and it's apparently written by a doctor.
Dude,
he doesn't know how to write. Just saying.
All I'm saying is maybe you should start a super PAC for some free education, because this is, as we know, we're both English nerds. This was bad.
It sounds like a Backstreet Boys song. No matter who you are, where you're from. But even the Backstreet Boys knew how to use commas.
Oh my God, I can't. Andy, you could go to the next one. I'm getting it all out because I know I'm gonna have to block some motherfuckers. Can you read the top and then mine?
Yep, I'll read the top one first. What intention do you believe is already clear? Perhaps you are jumping to conclusions? I suggest asking Dr. Joe Q. Jarvis or at Joe Firestone, PhD, specific questions, maybe in a live Q&A session for the benefit of all. That's the one that you were mentioning earlier, I imagine. And then your response was, I suggest you check yourself. I'm asking a valid question and nobody can answer without deflecting or getting defensive. I don't need to ask Dr. Joe Q. Jarvis anything. These are things which should be laid out, not things that people should need to search for. And I think you're absolutely correct there. If you were to invite them on, all they're going to do is give you a load of bullshit about why this super PAC should be different than other super PACs we've seen in the past, which you and I both know that's a bunch of, as Joe Biden would say, a bunch of malarkey.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, the option of them coming on my show is, like, literally never going to happen, ever. And I tried to ask a question in the live stream, as did two of my comrades, and all three of our comments got deleted. So, no, it's not that simple to reach out so-and-so. No, it's not that simple, and I'm sorry. Why the fuck doesn't your website say Medicare for all? Why is this? I swear to you, that comment has like over 50 replies now, and not one even close to answers my question. It is, look in their bios. I don't give a fuck what their bio says. I don't give a fuck. What does that mean about this super PAC? Or they've always said they support Medicare state by state. What the fuck what does that have to do with anything? Or why are you hating on people who are trying to make things better? Or you should ask so and so, or just constant deflection and gaslighting and stuff. And I'm like, I'm just fucking asking a question. And then this one lady's like, would you feel better if it did? I was like, why are you even asking that? Like, that is the epitome of a gaslighting question.
Yeah. Like, and you're making exactly the right point. It's like, why aren't you guys more staunchly for Medicare for all federally? Like, why are you gaslighting and immediately, like, you're moving the Overton window and being like, well, we're on it, or we're for it on a state-by-state basis. Again, you're moving more and more towards the center with stuff like that. No, just be staunchly for Medicare for all. And methinks that the super PAC has something to do with that. If Bernie Sanders started taking super PAC money and then he started immediately messaging, well, I think we should have Medicare for all who want it, I'd be like, you're getting money from the same people that Pete Buttigieg is getting money from. Yep. Your messaging changes with the amount of money that you're getting. And so you're making exactly the right point there. It's ridiculous. They're just moving the goalposts on you.
Absolutely. And, I could go in state by state for quite some time, and I'm going to try and steer clear for that because I'm going to get enough hate as it is. Andy, you can go to the next one. All means all, people. End of story. All means all.
Yeah.
Not all within these borders. All means all. So this is the woman who misunderstood and thought I was supporting them and said we need a bottom-up and top-down approach. What the fuck does that mean? And is it a porn?
I don't think so. But you never know. But they obviously don't make any. Why is there a hashtag top-down effort? That makes no goddamn sense. Anybody that knows anything about movements in history will tell you that it's always 100% from the bottom up and not a combination of both. No. It's always bottom up. It's never top down. And as far as the state by state thing goes, it may end up happening that's the way that we get things like Medicare for all, but it comes on a state by state basis. Same with like legalizing marijuana. It might eventually come that way. But to these people that make that point, I would ask, wouldn't it just be fucking better for an executive order for it to just sweeping happen like that? Because these are both things that we can get immediately from the current administration and not even the Congress, from the president. So it's weird that like now we have this unique opportunity to push Joe Biden left, which a lot of these assholes that are for this kind of thing were insisting we do. And now we're trying to push him to do this Medicare for all with the swipe of a pen. And suddenly they're like, well, no, it's impossible. We have to do it on a state by state basis. I wonder if it's the money coming in that suddenly is making you say that second thing is the most feasible, rather than the executive order as being the most feasible. And that brings, and I'm just speculating, I'm not saying it is or isn't, but like it's an interesting observation that suddenly it's like, oh, well, we have to do Medicare for all on a state-by-state basis, same thing with weed. When Joe Biden can do these things in 5 seconds, why aren't we pushing him to just do them in one sweeping executive order so we can all have it immediately? That's the question.
It's very, I got mine, because well, they use the cannabis legalization as an example, and here's the thing. That brings revenue to states. Medicare for all would cost states. That is a false equivalency. So them saying, well, it worked for cannabis, actually, it would be totally different. So that's one thing. But also, how many people in states where weed was legalized still fight for it?
Yeah, right. Right.
So, okay, cool. Let's give it to 5 states. Now we have 5 states, less people who are fighting for us. When you do state by state, you are leaving out millions of disabled, of, people who can't pay their bills, of homeless, of immigrants. You leave out so many people, and it is selfish. It's ableist. And yeah, I'm even going to say it's racist because you are leaving out so many people. Because look, the state who's pushing this is the state that Pramila Jayapal is in, who wrote the bill. That's convenient for you. You're good. You keep going. I'm in Pennsylvania. I have one rep out of governor, lieutenant governor, Senate, Congress, all people in my state. I have one who supports Medicare for all. You think my disabled ass is going to get it? No, but that's okay to you. You don't care. So this to me is means testing. This to me is let our state have it and we'll be sitting pretty, we'll be happy, and then let the government pull out all the flaws and the misconceptions and slander and everything it can from that, so that no other states get it, because that's exactly what's going to happen, and they don't want to see that.
Yeah, and again, to the top-down thing, the people that would say like that we need to do a top-down thing, what people in government are even speaking about Medicare for all right now? The squad hasn't mentioned it at all since Biden took office. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about when you talk about top-down. The squad is not only not fighting for it, even their rhetoric hasn't even included Medicare for all since the Democrats got a majority. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I don't even know.
It's ridiculous. These people are in la la land, and it's you were exactly right when you said it's like I got mine, so I can go out there and virtue signal and try to run interference and whatever. The only people that speak like that are rich people that already have good health insurance.
I thought those of us who support Medicare for all were for equity. And that's one of the points of Medicare for all is equity. How is white, blue states helping people of color, marginalized people, disabled people? It's only helping them in one state. That is counterproductive. It's not okay. And people just argue about it all the time. And I'm like, there is ableism in there. It's so fucked up. And you're asking for breadcrumbs. People like myself for years have been marching in the streets and doing everything we can for Medicare for all. Not Medicare for me. Medicare for all. And this kind of shit just undermines every fucking thing people like me have worked for.
And that might be the actual goal, honestly, of a stunt like this. I think that's probably, and all this stuff. I mean, it's nerfing in a way, kind of taking momentum out of the actual movement for real change.
Exactly, especially when I see people who I love and have been allies with that are sending me messages saying they're disappointed in me for being against this, and then we're blocking each other and stuff like that. It fucking hurts. I'm like, who are you people? Who are you?
You're either for super PACs or you're against them. It's not, there's no like middle ground there for me. Like I just, either for dark money being able to be used in politics or you're not. And it's the same type of people that would be like, if AOC suddenly started taking her own, super PAC money, maybe she creates her own, the Justice Democrats create their own, they'll call it the Justice Democrats super PAC. It's different than all the other ones because it's the Justice Democrats. And then people will go out there and defend it. Yeah, go ahead. We can go on.
No, we're getting to that in a couple slides. But yeah, I mean, to me, I don't even think it's a super PAC that bothers me as much as the fact that it doesn't even say Medicare for all. And I'm watching these people who I've shared my trauma with and I've marched with and I've, done 8-hour meetings with and, things like that. And I'm watching them defend this tooth and nail. That fucking kills me. It really fucking kills me.
It does. This is the type of thing that takes the wind out of my sails too, because I thought this was pretty well agreed upon.
I guess, I just don't know. It's like were you fake all along, or did you just change your mind, or did you dupe me? I don't know. It sucks. It sucks. Like, my heart is fucking broken with some of these people, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, today I was kind of like, I wish I never even said anything, because it's just been like one person I care about after another that's been showing themselves. And I'm like, why does everyone love when I speak out unless I say something they don't like? It's so frustrating. Like, you're trying to censor me. You're trying to tone police me. You're trying to say, well, I can't be friends with you anymore because you're attacking my friends. Well, yeah, asking why it doesn't say Medicare for all is not attacking. Showing that they've had their 501c3 canceled is not attacking. I'm providing information. If you consider that an attack, that means that you think those things are bad and you're pissed I'm bringing them up.
Yeah, and that tells you a lot, doesn't it? It's interesting to me.
Andy, you can put the next one up. Rob, I'm going to be texting you all fucking night.
That's fine with me. Let's see what we got here. So do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
It was your response that says, why doesn't the website, this meme, etc., say Medicare for all?
This was the response. Look at this shit. This was the responses I had. Everyone just fucking blocked me.
Yeah.
Like, what am I asking? Now, this was a few hours ago. Now the comment thread has grown exponentially. But at the point when I first asked it, within like an hour, I was like, why the fuck is no one can answer me? Everyone just fucking blocked me. Like, I was not rude or anything. I just said, why doesn't it say Medicare for all? I wasn't like, why the fuck do you idiots not say? Like, I literally just asked a question.
I like this comment from Jenna. There's people who, quote unquote, support universal health care who also defend Obamacare as being a, quote, step in the right direction years later because they're good under this current shit show. And again, that's exactly right, Jenna. That's all they're doing is really kind of virtue signaling. They're only for Medicare for all and universal health care insofar as it allows them to put up the veneer of progressivism. They don't really care about it for their, people that don't have it because they already got it. All them and all their other wine tasting soccer moms, they all got great health care. So they'll say it because they want to appear progressive or appear like they're for the right thing. But when it comes down to the rubber meeting the road and you actually fighting for it, no, they're not going to do that. They just want to talk about it. And that's empty. That's empty. Unless you're actually willing to go out and, let's say, set up a Medicare for all march, show up to the march. Then it's just words.
Well, the problem is, okay, so March for Medicare for All, we did a lot of events, right? And the problem is, they would show up and pass out all of their red hats, so everyone in the crowd would be wearing them because they'd pass them out for free. And then it would look like their events.
Yeah.
And they did it on purpose. And it got to the point where people even thought they organized all the marches in July, which they didn't. It was us. They had nothing to do with it. We had some volunteers at certain states and what have you who happened to be members, but there was no one representing them. This was us. Like, this was, we had a lead national team and not one of them was with their group. So I don't know. It's so much more involved than that, but it was, I resigned from March for Medicare for All because of these people and their harassment and their lies and their slander against me and our group. So this to me is like, y'all finally got your proof. Oh, wait, now you're excusing it. Okay, never mind.
It kind of, as far as the hats go, it kind of reminds me how, like, you remember when all of the, like, fake socialists, sock puppet accounts on Twitter would always have a rose? That's what that in their like name. And after a while, we all started to realize that all the people that had the rose in their name were the people that don't really give a shit about socialism. They're just using the rose to appear like that. That's what that appears to me. The hats are now. It's like the Scarlet A. You know what I'm saying? We all know it's like a label they're wearing on their own now that can delineate the people that actually give a shit about socialism or Medicare for all versus the people who just pretend to.
Well, the thing is, they have a habit of what do you call it? Oh my God, Photoshop. They Photoshop them on famous people a lot.
Do they?
Yeah, which is a complete misrepresentation because they don't know who they are and they haven't given their permission. So, like, someone today was like, well, Susan Sarandon wears one. And I was like, actually, it's maroon and it's not one of theirs. You can tell it's not even knit. And then I provided a picture, and I also provided a picture where they put one on in Photoshop and it's fucking noticeable as hell. So,
they're trying to steal Susan Sarandon from us.
Dude, I'm saying, like, that's just not okay. Like, if people want to support it, that's on them. But, like, you know, that's not okay because you're insinuating, you're having people believing she supports what you're doing and she doesn't even know you exist. But people take that as, oh, she endorsed us.
No. Nope.
I'm just going to keep on going on. So, Andy, you can go to the next. I'm so buzzed right now. Andy, you can go to the next. Oh, okay. So speaking of super PACs, this is MPP sent this to me. Now, regardless what you think of MPP, you know, this is an article that I did read, and it is truthful because I looked at other sources. Can you read that, Robert?
Yeah. I'll read the headline on the left, and then I'll move to the right. It says the AOC Beto Biden $48 million connection, middle seat. That's what it's called. And then I'm going to read on the right, middle seat, the main media consulting firm behind Justice Democrats, Move On, The Squad, AOC, Beto O'Rourke, Working Families Party, Indivisible, and dozens of other self-proclaimed progressives, has raked in more than $48 million in revenue, while simultaneously working to co-opt progressive messaging in an effort to carry water for Democrat Party elites. The representatives and organizations middle seat messaged for fundraised off promises such as Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, a living wage, housing for all, and student loan debt forgiveness, only to peddle unpopular incrementalist legislation like the Build Back Better Act and then it kind of cuts off there. But this is what we were talking about. And this scares me too, because like, oh man, now we're looking at fundraising off of extremely popular ideas, but we all know that they're not going to actually push for any of these things. You know, I mean, so they've been funding Beto O'Rourke. I hadn't heard that, but I mean, that's interesting. You know, Beto is like a straight up like centrist. In any other country, he's like a right winger, and he doesn't care. I don't think he actually even said he was for Medicare for all. He didn't even go so far as to say what Pete Buttigieg said, which was Medicare for everyone who wants it. So even he's to the right of Pete Buttigieg on this stuff. He's probably even to the right of Kamala Harris, because even Kamala Harris feigned being for Medicare for all back when it was politically convenient for her, and then backed off of it later on. So it's like, I
remember when a reporter asked Beto, "Are you a progressive?" And he goes, "I don't really like labels."
yeah, no shit.
It, man.
Because we would label you as a milquetoast centrist who stands for nothing except for apparently like mandatory gun buybacks. Like that was the one thing he was staunchly for. He's not for Medicare for all, but he is going to take your guns away. That's for sure. Yeah, well, this goes to the
tables. That's good.
Yeah, let me read real quick here. I'm going to read the comment from Catherine. It says, "We know that not all states can afford to provide health care. Anyway, I got Medi-Cal. And when outside of California, my only health access that won't be 100% out of pocket is the ER." Yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about. Kind of like you're going to have to pay out of pocket unless you're literally like a gunshot wound to the chest, knocking on death's door. And in that case, they'll pay for it. And what does that do? that incentivizes everybody that knows how the system works to wait until they're literally near death to go in and seek medical care. And what happens in that case? A lot of them go in there and they die, or they don't make it in on time and they die at home. So it's like, it's ridiculous. And this just goes to the point that we made about 10, 15 minutes ago. I feel like the squad has really been co-opted by the establishment. The only thing that they even marginally maintain is like their rhetoric, but even their rhetoric doesn't include Medicare for all anymore. Why is that? Methinks it has a lot to do with them, being bought out, and now they're part of the big club. That's what's going on here. So $48 million, that's not a small amount either. There's a lot of money to be made off of these very popular progressive ideas like Medicare for all and the Green New Deal and, free college, as it turns out. That's capitalism for you.
Yeah, for sure. And Jenna Colby, she's one of my best friends. I see you, Wolfie.
Yeah, she's commented a couple of times. They were good. And then we got Ilhan AR says, good luck getting access in my state. Arizona is broke. It's hurry up and die in my state. Yeah, and I think Kirsten Cinema would agree. Effie Trinket, she would say, hurry up and die, and the odds will, may the odds be ever in your favor.
Yeah, like, ew, you're poor. Ew.
No health care for you. Hurry up and die, poor.
Yourself. Yeah, essentially. Yeah, I mean, you guys are right. I mean, it's state by state is funded very differently than federal. As Rob mentioned, MMT is federal. State by state does have budgets, and the thought that here's the other problem with super PACs is you think okay, if we do this, we'll get in the door and we'll say we support these things. Well, the fact that you're a PAC alone discredits you and gives neoliberals hope. So you're already at the same team right now because we don't trust you and they think you're good because you're a PAC. So explain to me how you're going to get the most drastic plan, which would be Medicare for all, if establishment thinks you're one of them.
Exactly right.
Exactly what they're going to think when they see super PAC and you don't even have Medicare for all on your website. As far as this goes, now Indivisible, they're a fucking mess. They're in like every town, city, state, everything. Move On. I remember, I still have it. They sent, Elizabeth Warren sent out an email through Move On begging people to donate to Joe Manchin.
Oh.
I still have it. It's from
why does that not surprise me?
2019? What's that?
I said that doesn't surprise me at all.
Nope. And I sent back, I'm like, you motherfuckers need to unsubscribe me.
For real. Oh, dude. This stuff, and this is the kind of thing that kind of makes me sad because it's like, even if you start off with good intentions, a lot of these people are so weak in their resolve that they kowtow as soon as they have money thrown at them. And like you said, once you've accepted it once, then you've already signaled to the donor class that you are susceptible. And then they know they can get you to nerf your ideas. They can get you to nerf your activism if they just throw money at you and like nudge you in the direction of the establishment and, in this case, centrism. So it's like, you have to, on principle, just refuse this stuff. You have to.
Absolutely. You have to if you're about the people and being people powered, the best way is through mutual aid. The best way is through action.
100%.
The best way is through what has changed in history by electoral politics or by money. Nothing. Women's right to vote, civil rights, LGBTQ rights, all of these things were people in the streets, every single one. Taking people's money who are fucking broke is not going to help anything. at all. So if you're thinking about donating to one of these things, just think about how much better it would be if you just scrolled on GoFundMe and picked one of the bajillions of people who is risking losing their home or who is risking losing medical care and being able to afford insulin, things like that. That is where your money should go. If you have anything extra and want to help, that's what you do when you care about people, not give it to a PAC.
100%. 100%. Yep.
Andy, you can go to the next one. What's the comment say?
It says, this is what happens when you let hedge firms run your medical system. That's exactly right.
Absolutely. So this is some good news.
It says, Democrats are rushing through a massive Ukraine defense bill. Okay. And do you want me to read the right side too?
Yeah.
This is by Sarah Sirota. It says, Democrats in the House of Representatives are planning to expedite a massive bill that would dramatically increase the U.S. security assistance to Ukraine and lay the groundwork for substantial new sanctions on Russia, hastening a war-friendly posture without opportunity for dissent as concerns over a military invasion abound. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California, told members on a caucus call Tuesday that she's looking to skip marking up the bill and move it straight to the House floor, setting up the possibility of a vote as soon as early as next week. Two congressional sources told The Intercept. The sources spoke on the condition of anonymity because they're not authorized to talk to the press. Pelosi's office did not immediately reply to a request for comment. Yeah, basically what this means is they are trying to ramp up tensions with Russia and basically start World War III. And they go, no, it's the same thing with Taiwan and China. Like, no, we just care about protecting the people of Taiwan. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're fucking with China. And in this case, you don't really give a shit about the people of Ukraine. You're making up a reason to give them money or weapons or whatever so you can escalate with Russia. And it's stuff like this. I don't know if you've seen recently, Joy, Russia and China are like teaming up now because of the way that the U.S. is acting. So, and then I love that they go hastening a war-friendly posture without opportunity for dissent as concerns over military invasion abound. It's like, excuse me now, hastening a war-friendly? Yeah, no shit. You guys are the ones, America is the aggressor here. We're the ones heightening and they always reframe it as if we're trying to diffuse tension between Ukraine and Russia. No. You're trying to heighten tensions between like Western allies and Russia. So it's ridiculous. And it drives me crazy when people will like, for instance, blow the Uyghur genocide out of proportion in order to try to manufacture consent for us to basically arm Taiwan, which is just a way for us to heighten the chances of us going to war with China. That's the main goal. But it's always masked as if we're doing the moral thing. And to do that, they have to make it seem like, Russia is going to invade Ukraine or, you know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. It's all propaganda, 100% propaganda. And this is, if I may, this is exactly why I always say Biden's just as bad as Trump. This is basically more or less what Trump would be doing too. So it's like, how are we less imperialist? How are we backing off of the possibility of World War III by putting a Democrat in office? I don't see any difference, really.
No, not at all. Yeah, this is, I love how we keep having more money for war budgets, considering I thought we were pulling out of Afghanistan and that should be less money. But no, we have more money in so-called defense spending than ever in history. That makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Not at all. In neoliberal land, it makes a ton of sense, which, it's totally illogical. Anybody with half a brain can see that basically what they're doing here, the American, hegemonic control of the globe is coming to an end. China is more likely than not going to be like the next big superpower, and the U.S. doesn't want its own bottom line to be impacted by losing its power. So what do? They fearmonger about these other possible superpowers, make it look like they're doing all these horrible things that they're really not doing, blowing things out of proportion, which is something the somebody who works for The Intercept, who will remain nameless right now, has been doing a lot on his show, is talking about how, oh, China's just ridiculously draconian in the way that they treat people. So we have to therefore arm Taiwan and therefore consider invading China. No. All of this is blown out of proportion to try to manufacture consent with the American population for escalating with these superpowers when we really should just be de-escalating in any way we can. Hands-off approach is how I always say, like, even if I were to grant some of these lies that they'll say about the Uyghur genocide or this stuff going on in Ukraine, even if that were the truth, which it's not, it still is not a reason to escalate with other superpowers. Right. So it's ridiculous. And this is the type of stuff that keeps me up at night, because I feel like we're on the precipice of something massive, and it might be horrible. It might be a revolution. I don't know what's going to happen, but it feels like we're coming to like a critical mass, and I don't know what's going to happen. And I really worry about basically us pushing too far with some of these countries and starting an all-out war. I'm 100% against this stuff.
Yeah, same. And someone, I am so sorry, I shared it on Twitter and I forget who said it, and I apologize. But somebody said, anyone ever noticed that when the presidents poll ridiculously low, there is threat of war? And I was like, fuck, you're right. Like, always something big happens when the president is starting to fail, and it's being noticed and acknowledged. Like, even CNN, people have been sending me CNN clips that are calling out Biden and shit. Like, what? So this makes sense.
Yeah, and it makes you worry, because what happens usually in those situations is sometimes you'll even see things like false flags, things that are events that are manufactured to basically scare the shit out of the American population into accepting the war, accepting further escalation. And that scares me a lot, because we already know the CIA and America does that routinely. So I really worry. And like I said, that's the reason it keeps me up at night, because this is child's play compared to what could happen. And it makes me worry, because like if something's going to give here in the next year or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, maybe a little bit shorter, but here with the Democrats failing the way they are, with everybody basically hating Biden, history seems to indicate that some sort of event is coming.
Yep.
It's just a matter of what it's going to be, and that scares the living shit out of me. Truly does.
Absolutely. And, and aside, but something I read yesterday that just, it's hilarious. Russia, they were saying that they have like a better vaccine for Omicron, and that the US should talk to them about it. And I'm like, dude, Russia should be like, y'all xenophobic motherfuckers have blamed us for everything for the past 6 years, and no, we aren't giving you shit.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if that's a Sputnik 5 or if they've developed a derivative of it. I don't really know. But I have talked previously about the Sputnik 5 vaccine actually being more effective. It was actually more effective against Delta than the ones that we had. And that's because I believe it's an attenuated virus vaccine, meaning it's more old school tech, and it did work quite a bit better than ours. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, there are a lot of communist countries that did a fairly good job developing vaccines and actually handling COVID better than we did. But again, that's neither here nor there.
Well, that's not a high bar.
Yeah, no, I think we handled it just about as bad as any country on the planet.
Yeah.
I think Brazil maybe was just as bad as us. And the common denominator between those two countries is that we're both ultra capitalist.
Yep. Andy, you can do the next one. This is more great news. I was so excited.
I saw this too. I've been staying away from social media, but even I saw this. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is seeking re-election. Her announcement ends speculation that she would retire as Democrats face the threat of losing control of Congress in the 2022 midterms. So, I mean, like I said, Shahid Buttar, run against her and run with Nancy Pelosi sucks as your campaign slogan. She's universally hated. I think people would appreciate a campaign slogan that was basically like up front.
He's too nice.
I know he
I
is.
was talking to him today. I talk to him all the time, and he messages me all the time, like with this stuff, and I'm like, just say she sucks. Say something. Like,
Yeah.
I will go to bat for you so hard.
He might be too nice to do it. And the other thing with Shahid is that they ran an unbelievable smear campaign against him. And they're going to do it again if he runs against her again, and so it takes a particularly like aggressive and strong person to run against, a cretin, a ghoul like Pelosi, because you just know that she's going to serve you up with a whole bunch of shit. She's just going to make it your life hell the entire time you're running against her.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it's even possible to usurp her because she's so good at, for some reason, she's so good at fundraising. And when I say that, I mean, I'm being facetious. She's good at fundraising because all the billionaires love her and corporatists love her. So they're willing to, give her an infinite amount of money to seek reelection. That's all she does is, carry water for the billionaire class and insider trade.
Absolutely. She's 81 right now. And I'm not going to be ageist. Her age doesn't concern me. What concerns me is that her brain is melting.
Yeah.
Bird bath and privilege scrub. Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, she can't even speak correctly. She cannot concentrate. This is bad. And she's going to win. I mean, of course she's going to win, regardless. But I do absolutely think that AOC will be trying to be the next one after she's done. Absolutely. That would explain why she keeps going more and more right, why she's Mama Bear, why she always tries to please her, even though she still disrespects her and it doesn't work. I think AOC is going to have a rude awakening when they don't let it happen.
Yeah, not only will they not let it happen, but even the opportunity for her to become speaker is going to be probably like 4 to 6 years out, because I think the Republicans are going to dominate from 2022 to 2028. That's just me. Yeah. And maybe beyond that. If Trump wins in 2024 and has any semblance of a coherent presidency compared to Biden, which he actually could, and maintains his base, then you're looking at a red dominance for at least 6 years. So the best we could hope for is that, after Trump leaves office in 2028, if he leaves office in 2028, and the Democrats have a majority again, that possibly AOC has some power. But I don't think they'd ever let it happen, even if that happens. Even if we took a majority back, I don't think AOC will ever be Speaker of the House, at least not in the next couple of decades.
No way. Not a chance.
But David Dole insists that's the way to go. That's what, let's just wait for 8 election cycles or whatever, next, 15 years or whatever. And then maybe AOC, who won't at all be corrupted at that point by money, even though she's corrupted today by money. Don't worry. She'll be Speaker of the House in, 2037 or whatever. We'll be all right.
Guy who has free health care and everything else in Canada.
Exactly right.
Awesome.
It's bogus. I mean, so it doesn't surprise me that she's running again. Dianne Feinstein's going to run again, and she's like 96 or whatever, 94. And these people are
she's 91, I think.
Yeah, she's over 90. She's over 90.
Yeah.
These people are such puppets that I'm pretty sure that they could die and that they would run their corpse and just like Weekend at Bernie's that shit, walk her out there.
Dude, they would have done that to RBG in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Yep. So, this doesn't surprise me at all. I still think that Shahid, if he can handle it, run against her anyway. And run a kamikaze campaign where you're basically just trashing her the entire time just to expose how, corrupt she is. Be mouthy, be aggressive. See if you can get a debate with her, which he was unable to get last time. She would not debate him, and that for good reason, because Shahid would run circles around her. He's a very smart individual. But it would be great to see him run at least one more time just to trash her. But you're right. I don't think she would lose. Yeah.
Andy, you can do the next slide. Okay. So we did get some somewhat good news, like, not being facetious.
Yep, really good, actually good news. This actually made me very happy to see this. This is from Mohammed Al-Mazi. Permission to appeal to the UK Supreme Court was refused. The Supreme Court will decide for itself whether it will grant permission to appeal now that part of the appeal has been certified by the HC. Julian has 14 days to request permission to appeal from the Supreme Court. Now, he will do that. I think he already has. And we'll just have to see what the Supreme Court says. It's extremely important for the laws of the UK for them to hear this case. But we'll just have to see. This is about, for anybody that's watching that doesn't know what this is about, it's about the extradition of Julian Assange possibly to the United States, which he appealed, and he was granted they said that a court said that he can in fact appeal that extradition is what we're talking about here. So this is very good news. And I hope the Supreme Court hears the case. And I hope that they decide that, in fact, he cannot be extradited to the United States, which for me, that seems like a no-brainer. I mean, he's not a U.S. citizen. So therefore, I don't know how he can even be seen as extraditable to anywhere other than Australia, where he's from. So, we'll just have to see. I think any reasonable court that sees this case would be like, yeah, it's obvious that he can't be extradited there, not just for the reason that they found before, which was that he couldn't be extradited for the sheer possibility that he was a suicide risk in the American prison system because it's so draconian here. But beyond that, it's like just fundamentally, how can you extradite somebody to a country where that's not where they're a citizen?
I know it's unbelievable. But I think it's very important to show this, even for people who do follow it very closely, because it shows that, yes, we won the ability to request an appeal. That doesn't mean he's staying there. So this is a process. And if he comes to the U.S., in no way in hell he's going to get a fair trial. I am going to be like sleepless, worrying about him, just like so many other people. The only chance he has of a fair trial would be not in the U.S., period. The only reason he is in Belmarsh and has been there for the past 3 years is because of the United States. He's been in there because the United States wants to extradite him here. If it weren't for that, he would not be in Belmarsh. If the Supreme Court finds that they will not extradite him, he will go free while the trial is happening. Such that would be just truly victorious in itself. Now, Obama could have done the same thing. Surprisingly, he did not. I was hoping Biden would be like his president, my boss, but he's not. He has the ability to say, free Assange, we're not going to extradite him. He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't. And this is one of those things where it drives me crazy that people act like Biden is more moral than Trump. Word on the street was right at the end of Trump's presidency that he was looking seriously at pardoning Snowden and Assange.
Yes.
And this is one of those things where I talk about on my show that might actually be an advantage to a Trump presidency, because Biden is 100% not cognitively there and 100% a puppet. Trump is also a puppet, but because he's so egomaniacal and he does make some of his own decisions sometimes and he's stubborn, I think that a case can be made to him to pardon these people. I would go to Trump and be like, listen, Julian basically wrecked HRC with the Podesta emails. WikiLeaks did that, right? So in a way, he helped you. So a case can be made, I think, to Trump seriously to nudge him in the right direction. And I think it was even Tucker Carlson that was routinely on the warpath in favor of pardoning Julian Assange. And we know that Trump watches Fox News all the time. That's one of those things where, like, if Biden or the Democrats gets reelected and has the presidency from 2024 to 2028, Julian is doomed. But I think there's a slightly better chance that we actually get some of these whistleblowers pardoned, forgiven. That includes Daniel Hale, that includes Snowden. actually getting them pardoned and all the charges dropped, because I think that Trump is actually a little bit influenceable on this stuff. So this is the type of thing, Julian, the case of Assange is one of the most heartbreaking and depressing things that I've ever covered. And I really hope the Supreme Court takes the case. And I really hope that they make the right decision, which to me seems like, and I'm not a legal expert, but it seems to me like pretty open and shut. So the question is whether or not they're going to take it. And that is up in the air. I have no idea. I think if they're really bought out and they really don't want to have to make a ruling in favor of Assange, they'll just refuse the case.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, this is, oh my God, the symbolism of this, I cannot stress enough, even not just for those of us in independent media, but the fact of the matter is, this affects everyone. This man is not a hacker. He's not a liar. He literally simply published what was given to him. And his life has been destroyed because of it. There is no other publication in history who has 10 years of a perfect record, never needing to retract a single thing, because it only provides information it is given, which is factual. This man should be celebrated, but he's a hero. Not.
Yeah.
He's persecuted.
And he's also symbolically very important because he represents freedom of speech, free press. And that's why he's a martyr right now, because the United States in particular is not for a free press, particularly when the free press is reporting on their war crimes. And that's also, like I said, why I think if you have any standard politician, career politician from Republican or Democratic Party as president, it's a fool's errand to try to convince them to pardon Julian. But Trump is not like that. I think he's a little bit more kind of goes by the seat of his pants in a way. And also something we know about him is that he's very vindictive against liberals. So I think, again, the case can be made. I'll make it one more time that I think the case can be made easier to Trump that Julian Assange and WikiLeaks are important because they actually helped you win your first election by releasing the Podesta emails, right? So, I mean, there's like a weird kind of like vengeance angle that we could run with Trump if he were to take office again. And I think there's a sliver of a possibility that we could get Julian out.
The way I always thought I would approach Trump would be to knee him in the balls, but also I would say to him, you know what? No one thinks you're going to pass Medicare for all. They said you're not smart enough to do it. They said you never do it. You're just not smart enough. And you say that to him enough and he'll be like, you watch me.
Straight up reverse psychology. And the other thing could be, it's like, do you really care about being like popular and loved by the people? Which to some extent Trump does want. He really just wants his base to like him. But I think there's something about him too, because he's a reality TV star that comes with that. His ego is big enough where I think he actually cares more about what the people think of him.
Yeah.
Than a Biden would. Biden, he's off in outer space someplace right now. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He's 100% a puppet. So I don't want Trump to win. I want to be clear. I do not want Trump to win. But this is one of those areas where I've argued on my show where having Trump in there is advantageous because he has weak points. He has an ego that's big enough. I think it can be exploited. And I think you're right. A little reverse psychology could work in a certain area with Trump where it would never work. It would never land with Biden.
No way.
I'll read this. It's from Ilhan AR. Unfortunately, our justice system has been captured by the oligarchs. Julian made the military-industrial complex look bad, and Biden can't have that. 100%. 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Andy, you can go to the next one. I think we have like 2 more.
That's good. Eat the rich. Aw. Oh, little fella.
I know.
I agree.
We should talk about animals, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's so
feed
bad.
The rich to your puppies."
Yes, they like it. And I think there's one more. And Rob, this is just for you. I feel it.
You know what the problem is? There hasn't been a beard in the White House in 122 years. That's what the problem is. Right. That's true. That's true.
I think it has a lot to do with it. Beards are powerful. And then add an ascot, a monocle, like a handlebar mustache. Like, dude, yes.
Have Bernie grow a beard.
Well, you know what's funny? They had someone did a Photoshop of him with a beard, and he looked exactly like Jeremy Corbyn with the beard.
Did he?
Yes.
You know what? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Bernie would be a little bit sexier with a beard, I have to say.
He looks good with a beard. And it was like they were showing Jeremy Corbyn next to Bernie, and Jeremy's real name is Jeremy Bernard Corbyn. And I was just like, oh my God, that's so amazing. But yeah, Bernie looked good with a beard. It was white and, short and trimmed. It's kind of like mine when I let it grow out,
Bernie with a goatee, or maybe one of those like
mutton chops.
Yeah, mutton chops. That would be perfect. Have him cut up his like floofy hair on the top and then grow like awesome sideburns. That would be sweet.
No, oh my God, what do you call those things with like really back in the day? The courts, they had those like curl wigs.
Oh, wigs? Yeah, that would be sweet. That would be sweet. Don't have him wear a wig. Just have him like put curlers in that little like side thing that he's got going on, so it's all curly here.
Oh my God,
that'd be sweet.
Bernie's getting a perm. Oh my God, that would be so good. Oh my God. See, now I wish I could do Photoshop, because I would do like Bernie in cornrows, Bernie in a jerry curl, Bernie in like my hair with colors, and just like go down the line. Amazing.
Do you remember that wizard in the Lord of the Rings, Radagast, who has like a bird living in his beard? We should have the Bernie bird, and he can have it land in his beard while he's giving a speech, and he doesn't even notice. It's just kind of like, and then it like goes in and burrows into its nest, and he can close it up. That would be sweet.
I never saw it. Don't hate me. I never saw any of those, but
oh, you didn't? One of the wizards has like a bird that like lives in his hair or lives in his like beard, and he lives out in the woods by himself. That's what I would like to see, because we all love that Bernie bird. But this time when he's up at the podium giving a speech, it can land in his beard, and then he can.
Oh my God, that is fucking amazing! And I have my Bernie bird right here. I don't think you can see.
I love that bird. That bird has done more for the movement than the people we were just talking about.
Right? Yeah, it really has. And I think that's it, Andy, isn't it? I think
that's it. Well,
right.
Except for the one that I made.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's see.
Surprise for me. All right, what do we got? Hit me.
Okay, all right. So when the little background, when Robert first came on, his lighting sucked bad as usual. Right?
Oh God.
It was washed out. So I thought of a brand new toiletry style product. And so I put together a this new possible product for give me 1 second here.
Oh God, I'm scared. I'm drunk. Don't be nice.
I know. It's
the tension is great. I hope it'll last.
Hang on. It's
oh my God.
I'm just trying now. There it is. Okay, here it is here.
That's me. Yes.
You guys, when Rob comes on the show, when you first okay, so yeah, I mean, I'm 85% blind, but when he joins, I always say, you're pasty as fuck, because he has his light weird, and he literally blends in with the wall.
I do.
Oh, it could be a bar of soap.
Yeah, and I use that on my face. That's why it's like, as white as a sheet. My teeth and my skin are the same tone.
All right, that'll be next week's show.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
Fight Club, like the soap.
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
thank you so much, Andy, for helping. I appreciate it. You're amazing, and you really helped my blind ass out.
Thanks,
so
Andy.
much. Thank you so much, Robert, for joining me again. Where can people find you, and what you got coming up?
I'm on a break right now, so I'm still kind of staying away from Twitter. I had like an emotional like meltdown a couple of weeks ago where I was just like absorbing so much news and everything was so depressing that I'm taking a step back. I'll be back in the middle of February, so I'm still doing stuff with you. You can find me Robert Durden on YouTube and Rockfin. When I come back, I'm going to be doing more Rockfin stuff, and I'm changing the format of the show from being like an episode or two a day, 7 days a week, to being more like 3 or 4 very long episodes a week is what I'm going to be doing. And I'd like to correct something that I said in the last show. I misspoke. We were talking about a gentleman giving himself the old low five while on the Zoom call. And I said that was Tommy Tuberville. That was actually Jeffrey Toobin. So I misspoke. I want to correct myself because that's one of the rules of Fight Club. I got my tubes mixed up. So it was actually naughty Jeffrey. Sorry, Tommy, that was not you. He's a crappy congressman, but he did not in fact give himself the old low five on that Zoom call. So I wanted to correct myself. Tubin, not Tuberville.
Tubin just sounds like masturbation.
It doesn't it? It's so appropriate. But anyway, I like to make sure that I give out correct information. And I was just kind of rolling, and I realized afterwards, so I wanted to correct before I got off here.
Very respectable. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And you guys may have seen last night's show. I did announce that I have left Populist Voice Network. And I'm just going to concentrate on my own channel as I intended to do from the get. For 5 years. I've never been on my own, and I really just want to, do my own thing. So best of luck to them, of course. And I've made some wonderful friends I'm going to keep in touch with. And Postmortem Breakdown will still be same time, same day, but on my Rockfin instead of PVN. So yes, Logan and Andrew will still be with me. Friday, I have part 2 of the case I'm working on Chasing Shadows with Temujin Kenzu. I interviewed him from prison last year, and I'm going to be interviewing him from prison again. And we are doing a breakdown of the case. This Friday, I have his fiance, Paula, and another true crime podcaster who's just a total badass, Maggie Freeling. She's got a whole lot of tattoos and stuff just like me, so that makes her awesome. But you guys definitely want to tune in. Temujin has been wrongly incarcerated for 34 years. And we are still trying to get him out. The Innocence Project, all of us, you name it. And his case is sitting on Gretchen Whitmer's desk. So we just don't want to stop talking about this case. We need to get Temujin free. So definitely tune in Friday. And I think that's all I got this week. I'm kind of taking it easy, only 4 shows. So again, thank you so much, Andy. Thank you so much, Robert. And we will see you guys next time.